All right, guys. So this is our swimmer auto track regulation tracking sheet. So that's a really fancy and long-winded title for something that tells us what the readiness state of our swimmers are before they get into a training session. This is done in the most simple way possible, that is through a vertical jump. A vertical jump can be done literally by anyone that has a wall and a bit of chalk. It's that simple. All you need to do is that. I'll put some video links in here that will show you how easy it is to do a vertical jump if you are so wanting to do this. But the way that it works is we get a baseline jump, you do the jump, do 3 of them, get the average. Then what you're going to do, you're going to use that as your baseline. And then every time you go to do a training session, you are going to then use that baseline and compare it to the jump that you're about to do. Now, if you are, like as this key says, if you're in 2% of that baseline, you're good to go. Or that personal best, you're good to go. If you're 3 to 5% outside of that, or drop beneath it, you've got some mild fatigue. It means slight neurological fatigue, monitor, but no major concerns. If you're at 6 to 10, you've got some moderate fatigue, so noticeable fatigue, performance may drop, reduce intensity, increase recovery. Okay. And then if you're around over that 10% difference in that vertical jump, well, it would mean that you did a pretty crappy jump, and you would probably be feeling that you are severely fatigued, you've got high fatigue levels, and you're at an increased risk of injury. This would normally indicate to us that we probably need to do an adjustment to your training program and prioritize recovery through that. It doesn't necessarily mean drop your training session completely. It means you're probably going to want to be making some adjustments to whatever training you're doing, and then really prioritizing getting your sleep, your food in, and your hydration sorted before you kind of look into all the other aspects of recovery, but those 3 main pillars that we like to talk about. Just going to talk a little bit about this first page. This is our key page. So this is just so you can understand that in a more visual context. So it's just a flow chart that shows you assess from baseline, what is the readiness level, and it gives you kind of those indicators here, like we've just talked about. And here is another way of seeing it as well. So in just, the color format. I like to provide lots of different visual and also written ways of people to understand this. So, all right, but here's the tracking sheet. So if we're just going to give this a go now, we're going to write in swimmer's name, Ryan Devenden, what is me? My baseline is, let's give me 50 because that would be sick. Okay, and then in day 1, I turned up and I jumped to 49. I'm at 2%. So it's pretty good. Pretty happy with that. Okay, so we're within a range. We're pretty happy. We're going from there, okay? On day 1, but then I come back in for the afternoon session and I'm going to jump. Say I jumped at 35 or 85. That was, say 45, sorry. Now I'm at I obviously didn't recover too well. So we're probably going to be more realistic with that and go 46. Okay, so I'm in that orange, may need a bit of fatigue, blah, 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 blah. Then it's day 2 a.m. I didn't actually jump on that day because I don't train that day 2 a.m.s. So this is my break. Then I got day 2 p.m. and I jumped, say, back in that clean zone, feeling pretty good. And then I came in the next morning for a training session, had a pretty bad sleep, and I jumped to 45. And then I'm down in that red zone. So it's that didn't go well last night. We probably need to look at some recovery aspects and see what we're going to be doing. And that's how this rolls. So it's all going to indicate to you here the choices or the options that you have. Now, I understand that percentages can be a little bit out of whack sometimes, and this can be a little bit too hard and fast, and you've got to have a little bit of nuance to it. If you read once and you've got to try a big recovery, say I was not going to train that night, you could probably still go for it as long as they're not performancely impaired too much. And obviously know the swimmers and have a look at the swimmers and be like, let's have a look at that. Let's see where you're at. What did you do last night? How can we fix it? Yada, yada, yada. If you start getting stacks of red, you're in real big trouble. That's when you know you're into too much of a hole. This kid is not working hard enough. This adult's not working hard enough. They're not working hard enough. They're not recovering enough for the effort that they're putting down, and you're in a real big deficit in terms of the stimulus versus recovery. So they're probably not going to get better, and you're increasing likelihoods of sickness, injury, burnout, all those other things. So those prolonged durations aren't good, okay? Now what I've done, I've made this for a week, okay, here. What I was going to say, if you're going to do this week on week, I would then reassess the baseline each week. So I would probably go, okay, my max vertical jump is 50, but what did I average last week? And I'd put that in as my next week's baseline. Or if I had any PBs in the week before, I would then put that as my baseline. Okay. Guys, if you've got any questions on this, please shoot us an email at ryan@formidablestrength.com.au. This tracker is available for download if you haven't already downloaded it. And if you want to start working with us at Formidable Strength and Conditioning, please reach out to us via the website and book a time to be able to work with us.